Welcome students. I am Akansha Vishnoi, your history teacher. Here in this video I am going to explain you part 1 of chapter 2, Rise and Spread of Islam. Let's talk about the contents in part 1. So part 1 consists of the following. First, Advent of Islam, where I am going to teach you about the early life of the Prophet, divine revelations and Hijrah. Second, Muhammad's teachings. Third, the 5 duties of a Muslim. And the last topic that I am going to cover is developments after Muhammad's death. Let's begin. Islam arose in the Arabian Peninsula, which is the vast desert lying between the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. Since ancient times, Arabia was inhabited by warring tribes of nomadic people who led a very hard life. These people were superstitious and believed in many gods and goddesses. They worshipped idols and also the black stone kept at the shrine called the Kaaba in the town of Mecca. In the 17th century AD, the Arab tribes were united under a new religion called Islam. Now let's discuss about the early life of the Prophet. The founder of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, was born in Mecca around AD 570. Orphaned early in his life, he was brought up by an uncle. On his journeys with caravans carrying merchandise to distant lands, Muhammad came to know about the Christian and Jewish religions. He was very impressed by their belief in one God. Thereafter, Islam arose. Divine revelations. What is divine revelations? It is an instances of divine speaking or special divine acts in history. Here, Muhammad at the age of about 40 is said to have started receiving divine messages through the angel Gabriel. The messages were believed to be God's words and were later compiled in the Quran, the holy book of Islam. Soon after receiving the first messages, Muhammad began to preach. What? He started preaching monotheism. It is the belief in one God. He also opposed some of the earlier Arab religious beliefs and practices like polytheism. It means the belief in many gods and idol worship. But later he accepted the Kaaba as a holy shrine. The next topic is Hijrah. Here, Muhammad was forced to leave Mecca as some of his teachings went against the established faith of the Arabs. He took refuge in a town called Yathrib, later known as Medina. This is the city of the Prophet. Muhammad escaped to Medina in AD 622 is called Hijrah. This event marks the beginning of the Islamic era and the birth of the Muslim community or Ummah. Muhammad's teachings became popular in Medina, from where they spread to other towns in the region. He was welcomed back to Mecca and hailed as the Prophet or the one chosen by the God to spread his message. Muhammad was an Arab religious, social and political leader and the founder of the world religion of Islam. According to Islamic doctrine, he was a prophet, divinely inspired to preach and confirm the monolithic teachings. So my dear students, let's talk about Prophet Muhammad's teaching. Muhammad called upon his followers to accept Islam, which means to surrender to the will of Allah, the one and only God. The followers of Islam are called Muslims. Islam considers Muhammad as God's last prophet. It also recognizes other prophets who preceded Muhammad. Among them are Abraham and Moses, revered by the Jews, and Jesus, the founder of Christianity. Muslims, like Christians and Jews, believe that everyone will have to face the day of judgment and will go to heaven or hell after being judged. It is therefore necessary for everyone to surrender to God and receive His guidance. Islam stresses on the responsibility of every individual to live a life of faith without the help of priest. Hence, there is no clergy. There are, however, religious scholars who explain the laws of the Quran. Islam also stresses on the equality and brotherhood of man. It prohibits certain things like the worship of idols, the eating of pork, and charging of interest on loans. 5 Pillars of Islam. Islam can be divided into theological, practical, and sociological concerns. The practical facets of Islam are best defined by the 5 pillars, along with other general actions and good deeds that a Muslim is required to do. The 5 pillars of Islam. These are the duties of Islam, the religion of Muslims. First, Shahada, faith. Second, Salah, prayer. Third, Swam, fasting. Fourth, Zakah, almsgiving. And the 5th one, Hajj, pilgrimage. Every Muslim must correctly recite aloud the Shahada, or the basic statement of the faith, at least once in a lifetime. It states that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is His messenger. Salah. Every Muslim must pray 5 times a day, before sunrise, at noon, in the late afternoon, at sunset, and after sunset. While praying, a Muslim must face the direction of the Kaaba. Swam, fasting. A Muslim should fast from dawn to dusk in the month of Ramzan, the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. Fourth, Zakah, almsgiving. Every Muslim must give alms to the poor and pay a tax on his income to contribute to the well-being of the entire community. Hajj, pilgrimage. The Kaaba at Makkah is Islam's holiest shrine. Every Muslim who can afford to undertake the annual pilgrimage, Hajj, to Makkah must do so, at least once in a lifetime. In keeping with the Islamic tradition, a Hajj pilgrim must walk around the Kaaba 7 times in an anti-clockwise direction. So my dear students, these are 5 duties of the Muslim. Development after Muhammad's death. Dear students, just look at the map. The map shows Muslim conquest in the year of 632 to 760 AD. This map shows the extent of Arab political and religious domination by the middle of the 8th century AD. Now let's begin with an explanation. Islam united the Arab tribes and spread feelings of equality and brotherhood among all of its followers. After Muhammad's death in the AD 632, a caliph or khalifa, as successor of the Prophet, became the religious and political head of the Muslim community. The four first caliphs were Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman and Ali. They had been companions of the Prophet himself. Abu Bakr and Umar spread Islam beyond Arabia to Syria, Persia, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, Turkey, Spain and Northern Africa. During the tenures of Uthman and Ali, there were succession disputes. Ali was murdered and later his son Hussein too was murdered at Karbala in Iraq. Thereafter, the community split into two sects, Shia and Sunni. The Shias regard Ali as the Prophet's true successor. They believe that a caliph is appointed by a divine will. The Sunnis believe that a caliph should be chosen by the whole community. Apart from the Quran, they follow the Sunnah, that is the customs and law based on the deeds and words of Muhammad. The areas governed by the caliphs were known as caliphates. The most powerful caliphates were those of the Umayyads of Damascus and later the Abbasids of Baghdad. By the 8th century, Arab influence extended from Spain in Europe to Sindh in India. Around this time, some Arab traders settled along the coastal regions of India in Gujarat and the Malabar. They interacted with the local population and spread Islam in these regions. In AD 712, the Arabs invaded Sindh and annexed it to their empire. Many trade settlements sprang up in Sindh, increasing India's trade contacts with West Asia. Arab expansion beyond Sindh was checked by the Rajput rulers of North India. With that, my dear students, I have completed the part 1 of the chapter 2, Rise and Spread of Islam. For further description, you need to check part 2. Thank you and have a nice day.